All right, the Varginha case. We talked about it last week. Well, I was off last week. I told you guys I was going on vacation. I'm back. So one of the last videos that I did, was about James Fox tomorrow on the 20th being part of this not hearing, but they're going to have a doctor from the Varginha case testify, and it's been gaining more and more attention. Now we're going to dive a little deeper into that. And the first one I want to bring up is the News Nation interview that Ross Coulthart did with James Fox. He talked to Fox about it on the eve of that, the testimony, I guess, from, I don't know if it's a testimony, but just the words from the doctor. So let's hear from Ross Coulthart, and let's see what the two of them talk about. We'll talk about that on the other side. So check this out.
This is a preview for what I think is going to be probably one of the most momentous UAP-related events in Washington, D.C. in the past 25 years. My friend and colleague James Fox, filmmaker of the phenomenon Moment of Contact, is joining us now. He's hosting what will be, I think, an absolutely groundbreaking press conference in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday the 20th, coming up next week at 11 a.m. at the National Press Club, where several of the key first-hand witnesses to what was indubitably a crash and a retrieval of non-human alien people at a location in Varginha, Brazil, happened. This is momentous, James, the fact that you've finally been able to get these witnesses here. Welcome to Reality Check. Tell us what's happening next Tuesday.
Well, thanks, Ross. I appreciate the introduction. That's very, very kind of you. And I appreciate the support as well. This is a complete grassroots effort to expose what I believe to be the most compelling crash retrieval case in modern history, that it ultimately involved the Americans with live entities. Because I know there's been a lot of, allegations at the highest levels. I've had Dave Grush and other congressional hearings where they talk about crash retrieval and biologics, aliens, in the possession of the U.S. government. But I think I can't think personally of a better case than this one. Obviously, I featured in my film, Moment of Contact, new revelations of alien encounters, but I was thinking more than a documentary, this is kind of a movement to come out. And when you see people participate in a documentary, while it's compelling, it's not quite as convincing as, meeting them in real life, coming, shaking their hands, looking into their eyes, asking them those tough questions, meeting their family members, meeting their coworkers. And that's one of the things that I wanted to achieve with this event. Is, hey, look, if this guy's telling the truth, this is the most significant development in the history of the phenomenon. When have we had someone of his caliber testifying or revealing that he had face-to-face contact and limited communication, telepathic communication with a captured alien? I mean, I personally have never heard that before.
Okay, so it's heating up, right? I mean, there's a lot of things. I go back and forth. A lot of times as I mentioned, and I always bring this up when I talk about Ross Coulthart, right? You cannot deny what this guy has done for UAP journalism. And second, for what he has done and what he was able to do with David Grush and bring him to the forefront and really kickstart that whole thing that led to the 23. It's been amazing. He continues to pursue. He continues to get great interviews. He continues to be passionate about it, and I don't think that that you can really take that away from him. The criticisms that I've had on him in the past are things where he last year said in the beginning of 2025, all hell is going to break loose in UAP. It didn't. There's times that it's like this is going to be the biggest thing you ever saw, and wait until you see this interview, and then there's an egg video, and you don't really know what it is. So I get hesitant when he says this is going to be one of the biggest things to happen in the next 25 years. However, I do think, though, he's right. I think, though, meaning it should be if these types of claims come out at this press conference, and depending on who is there. If it's just News Nation and Ross Coulthart and a couple other people who continuously cover this, it's not going to have the kind of impact that they need it to have. If they're able to get certain people there, high-powered people who are maybe talking with them, whether I know it's not a hearing, but I don't know if it's Burleson or whoever it might be, those types of people on the conference with them that have said that they've spoken to this doctor as well. Who's asking the questions? Is it just like, because Matt Laszlo will probably be there and other people will probably be there asking these questions. Now, the follow-up to that will also be what kind of coverage will it get? As we see, and as predicted, and rightfully so, News Nation is covering, Ross Coulthart is covering it. But the standard things that keep happening with this topic is News Nation covers it, but where else is the lead up to this? How come if I go to MSNBC or Fox or CNN or whatever, is it the first topic? I'm going to check. Let's check Fox first. And the answer is no. Norway stuff, right? CNN. No. Greenland stuff. Nobel Prize. Let's try CNBC. No. Oh, MSNBC rather. Sorry. MSNBC. I don't even know. It was NBC News breaking on this. Greenland stuff. I mean, it could be buried somewhere, but this is the crazy thing to me. You know, it's like, okay, there is a doctor, a highly renowned doctor, who doesn't have a history of mental illness or anything too, and was part of this case that is a highly documented case, who's going to have a press conference to where he is going to talk about being in a room with an alien. Okay. Now, wait a minute. I'm not telling you, once again, that the report should be, this man was in a room with an alien, and we got to listen to it. It's true. There's life proven to be, besides just us. No. But the story could be, there was a documentary, and in this documentary, James Fox had this person, this person, this person. Years later, he now has a doctor who is willing to come to Washington, D.C. and talk about his claims. And if you don't believe them, let's have all the naysayers and everyone else there, and they should be allowed there. In the same way, I want to backtrack, and years ago, it must have been a year and a half, 2 years ago, when they tried to, when Arrow, when what's-his-face was still running the place, Kirkpatrick, and they tried to do that whole thing with the press, and they just invited select members of the press. They didn't invite News Nation. They didn't invite Jeremy Corbell. They didn't invite anybody, George Knapp. They didn't invite anybody. They just invited the people that they wanted to say that we haven't seen any proof, and it was all people that just served their narrative. There should be everyone invited to this tomorrow. Absolutely should have the naysayers there to ask all of these questions. You should have Green Street. I never get the guy's name right, but you should have him, and you should have who's the other guy? Mick West. You should have all of them. They should all be there asking the questions. Invite them. Let them be there to ask the questions that you could say, okay, wait a minute. You say this, you say that, and ask every single thing. This shouldn't be just a love fest or you should treat the man respectfully, but you should ask him all of these questions and see how he answers them and make this a longer thing. And if it does get to a place where you're like, well, wait, this guy's account of these events are saying this, and that, it should be reported on, and it could be significant in the way that Ross Coulthart is saying that it could be. And I think that he spoke to Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, and there was a tweet that covered some of that. All right, so Honey Muse follows up. I guess Jeremy Corbell had said this is from January 14th when he spoke to James Fox, and he said, you got to hear what he's up to, and found regarding footage of the reported alien beings that were documented. So Honey Muse says alien beings caught on camera. James Fox reveals major updates on the missing footage of the Varginha Brazil ETs running loose after 96 UFO crash live captures, hospital encounters, soldier death from alien bacteria. And now the truth is finally leaking. Is the lost footage finally surfacing after 30 years? This case keeps getting wilder. Crash, live captures, cover up U.S. involvement rumors. Look, I got a bum shoulder, man. Stupid things happen to my body as I'm getting older. And another thing that happened to my body this year or last year rather, was the holidays. I was traveling a lot. I had a lot of good food. And then you just get a lot of chaos, and it knocked me off my health and fitness goes. And for me, I'm getting older. I've noticed that the holidays, it takes a bigger and bigger toll on my body. But January's here. It means it's time to get back into the swing of my healthy routine, and I have been. I've been hitting the gym, going back to it. And I'm not just getting back into my normal healthy routine. I'm actually helping my body turn back the clock. How are you doing that? Well, you might not know this, but the things that happen to our body as we get older, you get stiff joints in the morning, longer recovery from the gym, there's hair thinning, nails breaking, every skin losing their smooth glow, and that can be fixed. They happen because your body's collagen levels start to naturally decline beginning as early as your mid-20s. Collagen is often referred to as the glue that holds our bodies together, so you can imagine that a decline in collagen production has some big impacts on your body. But that's where Bubs Naturals collagen peptides come in. Bubs helps restore collagen levels closer to what your body naturally had in its youth, so your joints feel stronger, your hair and nails grow healthier, and your skin looks smoother. And it's super easy to use. You mix it into your coffee, which is what I do. Some people put it in their smoothies, or you can put it in juice. It's tasteless, it's odorless, and it dissolves instantly. There's no clumps, no weird aftertaste. What makes it different is the brand is a tribute to former Navy SEAL Glenn "Bub" Doherty, a national hero who gave his life saving Americans in Libya. Glenn's call sign was Bub, and he was the kind of guy who always pushed for self-improvement and helped everyone around him. That DNA is woven into the brand, and to honor him, Bubs donates 10% of all profits to charities, starting with the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. On top of that, Bubs is built to the highest standard, no junk, zero sugars, sweeteners, or fillers. It's third-party tested, NSF certified for sport, Whole30 approved, and sustainably sourced from grass-fed pasture-raised cattle. Trusted by over 100,000 customers, it was named Best Collagen 2024 by Health.com. Live better longer. For a limited time only, our listeners will get 20% off at Bubs Naturals by using that code DTE at checkout. Just head to BUBSnaturals.com. Use that code DTE. You're all set. You're going to purchase. They're going to say, where'd you hear about us? Please support our show and tell them DTE, Kristian Harloff, sent you. All right, so regarding that tweet, the question now remains, if you're James Fox, right, and you have this lost footage and you have these other things, and you've seen what some of these hearings have done and have failed to do, do you debut some of this footage at this press conference? Do you show things that you go, boom? If you do that, then things change dramatically. If you found this stuff. Now, remember, James Fox has talked about many different footage that he's seen. He was part of that whole, when Logan Paul got the video that showed probably the most clear UFO, and we still don't know what the hell's going on with that. But the Varginha case, to me, as I mentioned in that last video that I did, it was one of the most compelling documentaries that I have seen on this topic, in the way that it's put together, the way that the people who are being interviewed are answering questions, the way that things line up. And now to have this doctor talking publicly on a case that happened, over 30 years ago, whatever it might be. I also wonder, and not that they should do this at the press conference, because I think that would kind of undermine the guy in general, but eventually, if the guy says enough compelling things, there should be lie detector tests that are issued. There should be all of these different things, but what is the incentive now for this guy to do what he's doing, right? Because this is different than whistleblowers. Because whistleblowers are still contracted under government jobs and other things. I mean, now there might be something with the hospital, or I don't even know if he's retired. I don't even know. But if he's working as a doctor, he's not contracted to keep secrets. These things that have been going on forever. Maybe he was. I don't know. Why? And that's one of the questions I would ask, and I hope is asked. Why he waited so long to talk. Why now? it should be pretty fascinating. And that's why I think it is necessary. If you're going to do a press conference and you're going to have a lot of people, you should have people from all over the place asking these questions. Like who is going to be there? And I'm talking again, I reiterate, they should be people besides the ones who are the believers. Like if I was there asking questions, I'm going to ask questions that are respectful, and I'm going to ask questions. Every question should be respectful, but I'm going to lean more into the curiosity of, well, when you were there with the creature and this type of thing, because I believe a lot of it. I do. So having me there and reporting back to you guys, okay, Kristian asks a couple good questions and things, but well, wait a minute. If this happened, then why this? And if you did this, then how come this? They should be there. Because I want to know that stuff too. Because I want to get the answers of, well, that makes sense. Because there's a lot of things that were in that documentary that I said, well, wait, if they did, and then they asked that question, I went, oh. And then the stuff about the guy that doesn't want to come out and talk about it and almost shoots James Fox, and then the girls that saw the actual thing and the fear in their eyes, and the question when they spoke to their mother, and the people that tried to come and silence them, and it's all fascinating. And to see that, I always wondered, because it was always the most fascinating thing to me when I saw this documentary. I started getting into this topic. Attack Peter, my good buddy, was the one who said you should watch Moment of Contact. And I was just fascinated by this movie. And it is always like, how come people don't talk about that issue more, that incident more? And it looks like, at least after tomorrow, at least for tomorrow, people will be talking about that incident. Now, maybe more people will be tuning into the documentary after this. I don't know. But nonetheless, I'll be tuning into it. I'll be checking it out. I'll be reporting on it and seeing what happens if there's anything. I hope by the end of tomorrow's video, when I do it, I say, look, there's stuff in there that I can't believe that they said, and the questions that were asked were incredible, and the answers that were given were just tremendous, and I've seen it. And look, I was looking because it caused such a wave, and then some of these clips are going all over the place. It's now covered on this network and this network. That's what I hope happens. What I hope doesn't happen is there just wasn't a lot there, guys. You know, he said what he said on the documentary. There was a couple of softball questions, and it didn't really do anything. And doesn't look like anybody's covering it or anybody cares. That's what I hope doesn't happen. But nonetheless, I'll be covering it tomorrow. So tune on in tomorrow. Thank you for being here. As always, click that like, comment, subscribe button. You saw my wonderful sponsor that I have here today. If you want to support the show and you like what we do here, please get yourself something wonderful. That's what I always ask. It helps out the show tremendously. So I hope you do just that. Thanks again. Thanks to Bubs, and we appreciate it. And we'll see you on the flip side. Bye.